everybody. Welcome back to Born Again to Live, the podcast. We are coming off of an amazing twin spin of a Blues Day Tuesday and a New Friends Wednesday with my boy, Josh Pickett.
Isn't he something? Like, man, the insights he has.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. It was kind of really hard to say goodbye at the end of that day. But, it started at lunch. I love that we kind of met up and just hung out at Marina's, and we all bonded over a mutual love of Waffle House hash browns. I remember that. Like, that was it really was a New Friends Day Wednesday. And
Amy had never met him and walks in and he offered to buy us lunch. Well, he offered to buy me lunch. I threw in a +1. But we'll throw the gauntlet down for all of our future guests.
Yeah.
If we ask you to be on the program, it starts with, and let me take you to lunch first.
Yeah, so we only get 4 episodes done. Not happening. But no, that was a fun day.
And then at the end of it, we said our goodbyes, and we started a conversation like in the midst of that goodbye. And I wish I had just pressed record without even knowing we were recording, because he talked about the prodigal son parable. And it would have been great for today, because all of the depth of that conversation he had with just me going, yeah, yeah, oh, wow.
I mean,
it was amazing.
Let's bring him back for a future Parable Thursday, and especially for that one, because he had some insights in some ways I'd never really seen it before. So
the one thing that he and I both, and I mean, I'm going to spoil it for when we get there, that he and I share in that one is that story's not about either kid.
Yeah.
It's all about the dad.
It is all about
and that story is so mistitled. It's not the prodigal child. It's not the prodigal son. It's all about the dad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're finding as we read through these parables, and even some of these stories, we do kind of focus on the wrong thing, like what Jesus is trying to tell us or what God is trying to tell us. We're too busy wondering, whether Jonah was swallowed by a big fish or a whale, or we're seeing Lot's wife as the pillar of salt, but we're not really seeing what's going to happen moving forward, and so it kind of doesn't surprise me that we don't always see that thing we should be looking at.
Well, and the parable day started because I made the comment that in the last season we did the names of God. Mm-hmm. And in each name, God revealed a part of his character.
Yes.
And I said, I heard somewhere that the parables revealed God's character also the same way. And so that's why we started just doing parables.
Yeah.
And you were finding out exactly that it reveals a character of God throughout the whole Bible. So
yes, absolutely. And once again, in this parable that we're doing, when it starts out, the kingdom of heaven is we have a person to assign it to, because the ones where it was a field or a treasure, when it was a thing, but now we're back to a personhood. So that gets really interesting as well.
When do you want my crazy story? Beginning or end?
Let's go at the end. We got to see where this is going first.
All right, so we're gonna start with scripture, right?
Yeah, let's start with the parable, Eric. It is
it's a parable Thursday.
It's also technically a thankful Thursday. I'm just gonna say I'm thankful for Josh Pickett. I'm thankful that he gave us all that time, that he had such wisdom to impart, and that he's coming to the worship night.
Yeah, I can't wait for the worship night. I think that's gonna be epic.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. I mean, God's gonna do something amazing.
Absolutely. Well, and as we say here in Big Blue, if it's all for one, it's all for one. What if no one shows up with this one person, but man, God uses them in a mighty way?
They're gonna feel special that night.
And I always think that too, because Eric, we can get discouraged in ministry sometimes when you're like, oh, only 4 kids came, or, not too many kids signed up for this. And we can get so discouraged, but you never know when it's that one person's day to meet the living God and how that will radically change everyone in their path. And we just, again, we've talked about this before, we just never see it. We plant that seed and we may never see that full effect. But anyway, this is definitely one of my top kind of parables. This is who Big Blue is to the core. So we're going to dig into Matthew 22, This is verses 2 through 14, the parable of the wedding banquet. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused to come. Then he sent some more servants and said, 'Tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they paid no attention and went off, one to his field, another to his business. The rest seized his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his army and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited did not deserve to come. So go to the street corners and invite to the banquet anyone you find.' So the servants went out into the streets and gathered all the people they could find, the bad as well as the good. The wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. He asked, 'How did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend?' The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendants, 'Tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are invited, but few are chosen.'" Woo! All right.
There's a lot in that one.
There really is.
So we start with what we always say.
Yep.
The kingdom of heaven is like
the king. Yes.
Yes. And this king, it's a cool story because this is the story of the Israelites. Like,
yes.
It truly is. When you read it and you put that mind frame into your head that how did the Israelites hear about God? God sent his prophets. They rejected the prophets. So he sent them again, and they rejected them or they killed them.
Yep.
And then so God had his people taken out by King Nebuchadnezzar, and realistically, then he goes, all right, we're going to send Jesus. He's going to fix it all. Invite everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. The Gentiles get invited finally to the wedding. And then the king comes in and sees this person, which he's talking about those who try to get into the kingdom of heaven without knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's the wedding garment. You get that Holy Spirit. We talked about it in the Pentecost episode. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, you're not getting into heaven.
Yeah.
So, but it is really cool the way he laid that out, that's their story.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, he's talking to people who knew that's their story.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I remember in The Chosen when Jesus was preaching and, the one Shmuel or whatever, the one Pharisee that was really out to get Jesus, he's like, "I don't understand." And then the other guy next to him is like, and you could tell he had a much different reaction. He's like, "I think I do." But like he realized like, oh my gosh, Jesus was talking about us. But yeah, so like what's interesting about this parable is it kind of starts out sounding a lot like the parable of the great banquet, right? Where they're just going into the streets and basically inviting everybody. There wasn't a lot of discernment towards the end there, but yet, there was still this concept, that there are many invited, but few are chosen.
Yeah.
So you're saying all the ones that are accepting Jesus, they chose him or God chose them? Because I think people get this mixed up all the time, right?
Yeah. The many are called is a general call to all, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody has the chance.
Everyone's invited.
Everyone's invited. And few, it's more of it's almost like predestined. And I hate to think that way because I think we have so much free will. God gives us free will.
Mm-hmm.
But he's predestined that the ones who say yes will have those clothes.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in predestined to the point of it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get into the feast and have the right clothing in this situation.
Right.
I believe in predestiny as that God said, if you say yes to me, I'm going to give you these clothes and get you into this feast, and you're going to fit.
Yeah.
But if you don't say that, you might get in and not fit in.
Aha. Yeah. So you need to say yes to me, so I say yes to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Now how do we feel about, as a barbecue man, like, is there some symbolism behind the, tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner? And, the Bible takes some time to describe this. My oxen and fattened cattle have been butchered and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet. So you think there's any symbolism there?
It is, because it's that servant attitude, and the Israelites really, that was one of their biggest parts of their religion and part of their culture was the willingness to host people, willingness to throw a dinner anytime there is guests come, and to kill the best for the least almost. And it was like that. So, and these wedding feasts were so elaborate and so huge, and they were days long. So it wasn't like it was just a one day we're barbecuing, so we got to start a little earlier. It was, they're going to cook enough food to get us through a week.
Yeah.
And these Israelites would invite people, just like the story, they would invite all these people in and just meet their every need. And that's what he's saying is, you don't need anything, just come here.
Right. So Eric, I think like this is the perfect opportunity for you to tell your crazy story. I mean, you want to talk about like going out into the streets. Okay, well, first of all, I do love that in this parable, it said they invited the good as well as the bad.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end, yes, there is that one person that is not clothed properly and is thrown out. But then the assumption here is everyone else was accepted, including all those bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's so interesting. But I mean, yes, that is Jesus. Like, he's inviting everyone, the good and the bad. But to your point, Eric, like, you still do have to put on the wedding clothes, right? We are the bride of Christ.
Yeah. If you don't put on those clothes and ask God to basically, yes, I want that, like, you're not going to be accepted in that, because you're going to know that person hasn't accepted God.
Yeah.
Hasn't given his life to him, made him Lord of his life.
Well, I think, God does see our hearts. And I think, in this parable, like, what does wedding clothes have to do with? Probably nothing. The point is, as plainly as we can see when somebody is not dressed for the occasion, God can see our hearts and know our hearts in an instant, as if we were wearing just a big T-shirt that says "This wedding sucks," Like, so I think that's kind of what that's all about. But okay, I want to hear this crazy story.
All right, so my crazy story, and the reason it pertains to this is because it's the openness to call anybody. It's that openness to talk to anybody about God and not be afraid that they're going to get rejected, or you're going to get rejected or scorned or anything. You just have to be willing to listen to what God tells you and do it. So, story starts with a pretty simple one. We were going to make ice cream with Big Blue. And actually, it goes back to our lost episode of the podcast.
Okay.
Because I was going to fill the Big Blue bus up with diesel fuel after a core team meeting on that Monday. Or Tuesday. And instead, I did an interview with Chris and Christine, which went really long, like most things do.
Yep.
So I was like, it's already 10 o'clock. I am not going down there and trying to fill this bus up. I'll do it tomorrow. Easy enough. I'll just leave work early, come down, get diesel. We're good. So I left work early that day, and as I'm coming down the road, the weather's not terrible. Like, it was warm that day.
Yeah, it was.
I pull in almost instantly. As soon as I pull into Big Blue, it starts just pouring buckets of rain on me. And I'm like, oh man, I got to get all of my stuff into the building. So instead of going and trying to get it all in the building, I'm like, all right, well, it's going to get soaked. I've got papers. I don't really want to put them in anything. I'll just run to the bus right next to me. And then when I come back, I'll put all the papers in the building that I need to put in. So I did that real quick, get the keys in your hands, you're ready, you open the door, you jump out, you get in the bus, and I didn't get that wet. And so I go down and I get diesel. Well, I told Amy I usually pull in one direction into the diesel pump, but for some reason that card reader don't read the best, so I had to go all the way around. And all this makes sense at the one reason. Anyways, I went all the way around, and I pulled in, and I got situated, and I look up, and this guy darts into the other pump, and I was like, "Ha, sucker!" Because it's a kind of an aggravating pump every once in a while to me. So, anyways, I get out and I start pumping, and he's still in his truck, and I get my fuel flowing, and I'm doing pretty good. And I go back and I put some stuff in the vehicle, and I come out, and he's standing there, and he says, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Good," general greeting. And we talked just a little bit about what he's doing up there in the rain. And he says, y'all needed this. And I'm like, "Not from around here, are you?" And he says, "No, I'm from down Charleston, West Virginia." I was like, "Oh, it's a beautiful area." Still West Virginia, so it matters. And so we talked a little bit about that. And he's working on the new quarter age part, and he's cutting roads and all this. So we talked, and my gas pump thing clicked, and he said, "Well, I guess I'll see you." And I'm like, "No, I got to do it again." It takes more, it's more than what it would actually let you pump. So I started again, and he said, "What are you filling up there?" And I said, "Well, it's the big blue bus." And he says, "What?" And he says, "That's a bubble bus." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it is." And he goes, "Oh, that's cool." And he looked and he goes, "So you're a Christian?" And I said, "Yeah," because he saw my necklace. And he said, "Me too." And I kind of was taken aback because it's like, yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
He's a rough man. And anyways, he says, "Yeah, this is where the story gets crazy." He goes, "Yeah, Jesus fixed me 15 years ago." And I'm like, oh, well, you got me. Right there was the hook. Like, there's no other hook needed. That was it. And he said, "I was cooking meth in my basement with a needle in my arm. And he said, I was putting a needle in my arm 5 times a day. I had cirrhosis of the liver," and he had 2 other medical conditions, which basically were death sentences, like complete death sentences. He said, "I had all this, plus I'm shooting up 5 times a day with meth that I'm making." He said, "I'm living this life to the fullest." And he said, "One day I just got tired of it, and I didn't even know if God existed, but I said, 'God, if you're real, fix me.'" And he said, "I'm pretty sure I passed out from my drugs."
Wow.
But he said that night, Jesus fixed me. Came and talked to me and fixed me. And I told Amy, the look on the guy's face wasn't, yeah, Jesus was in the room. It was that I had a one-on-one conversation with Jesus, and Jesus fixed him. He said, "So I have been clean and sober for 15 years, and I have no medical conditions still to this day."
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I thought that was where the story ends. And then he goes, "Yeah, I just got back from a mission trip," and I think he was in the Sudan or somewhere. Anyways, he's like, "I was just on this mission trip, and I got my Bible degree from some foreign college over in like Africa." And he starts telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, wow. And then he goes, "And I own an orphanage over at so-and-so place, and it's called Dolly's House of Hope," and da-da-da. And I'm like, wow, dude, like, I am so glad I'm sitting here just having this conversation with you. And so he's telling me all these things he's done, these countries he goes to, and how he does 5 mission trips a year and spends all this money on orphans and all this crazy stuff. And I'm standing there going, wow, like, just blew my mind. And I remember, oh my God, thank you for putting me in this spot, because had I ran to the building,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made it to the diesel pumps to get to talk to this guy. There's a lot of things that happened in my day that could have changed me getting to have that conversation. But I went home that night. It didn't matter what I went through. I was like, that dude was awesome. Like, that was an amazing dude. He's living an amazing life. And just to see the hope and love of Jesus in his eyes when he was talking about how he fixed it. Like, he came in and fixed me, and I'm like, it was like Jesus himself touched him. Like, it was that real to him. And it was just like, I've never seen that kind of conviction in a guy, and I'd had no clue he was a Christian, no idea, no fruit, nothing. We just pumping diesel beside each other.
Right.
And it just turned into like an absolute, he goes, "Brother, I'm so glad that this was a divine appointment." And when he said that, I was like, it really was. Like, it really was. And I don't know if it was for me or for him or for both of us to get encouragement.
Yeah.
But when he left, we shook hands, we talked, he said, "Where are you at and where's your building?" And I told him, and he's like, "I can't wait to see that building and look at everything." And He's like, I'll go on the website. And he was so excited to learn about what we did. And I'm going, you own an orphanage in a foreign country and you're doing all this crazy mission stuff.
Yeah.
And you're amazed by me driving a bubble bus.
Man, I love when God just it's a God meet cute. I don't know. Like I just love when he puts people together and yeah, who knows what that purpose was meeting him. But it is so encouraging to well, I guess going back to this parable even, you know, if it were me, Eric, like and I see this as you described a very rough character, like maybe the old me or maybe even the current me might have just been like yeah, you don't need to come to the wedding banquet. You can just stay back where you're at, right? But God's like, man, nobody is beyond my reach. Certainly this guy, right? Like who was going to pray him into the kingdom doing what he was doing and living the life that he was doing, right? Like nobody is beyond God's reach. And like, if that's true for God, it should be true for us. Like we shouldn't just walk through life and being like, I don't want to tell that guy about Jesus. He looks like he's not ready to receive that. Because joke's on me. This guy knows the Lord probably better than I do. So, yeah, I love that story, Eric, because it's just this reminder that, like, in any street corner, any highway, byway, gas pump, there is somebody that needs to know Jesus, and you don't get to judge them from how they appear. And, like, everyone's invited.
And I think about now, I even can see his face, like, before the conversation when we was just about the weather and the place and what he was doing, it wasn't a smile. It wasn't the joy. It was just like mundane conversation. But the moment it got to Jesus,
yeah,
he got a light in his face like you would not believe. Like he just lit up with that. And I may be speaking as nobody's ever seen that, but to see somebody who truly had that encounter, like, without a doubt, when he said, Jesus fixed me, he met Jesus. Like, he met that man. And it wasn't like I said, it wasn't a spiritual meet. I'm pretty sure, like Rob Reynolds said, he saw the face of God.
Yeah.
This man saw the face of God that night. Like, I truly believe that. So it was just the light and the joy, and it was like he was walking 10 feet off the ground just by meeting me and getting to have a God conversation over diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. I mean, nobody is beyond God's reach. And even we can get discouraged, Eric, because we see these kids come into Big Blue. We know they've heard the gospel. God's word says, my word does not return void.
Yeah.
And yet we know sometimes these kids end up getting in trouble. They're going to juvie. They're having a rough struggle. They may end up addicted or whatnot. And but the point is God finds you. He gets to you when it's time, right? Like, I'm sorry that this man had to go through, obviously, this hopelessness that led him to that point in his life. But the minute you meet Jesus, it's almost like the past doesn't even matter. I mean, that is what Born Again to Live is all about, right? Like, it is about the minute you walk out of the cocoon, you turn your back on a life that just, it's like this is day one of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The past is finished and gone, as scripture says. And your new life is ahead of you. And wow, that's such a cool story.
And I think about the impact this guy's having. Not only is he going to all these missionary spots and owning an orphanage and all the things he's doing outside the country. Think about the people who probably work for him.
Yeah.
He owns a business where he's doing excavating and all this stuff. Yeah, he's going to have employees. Can you imagine that they don't know Jesus?
Yeah. They definitely know his story, I guarantee.
With his fire, that's a lunchtime conversation, not just a... Well, maybe I'll tell this guy. He's living the discipleship life all the time. And so I can only imagine the impact. And think about if some of these Big Blue kids, he's building quarter H, maybe they need a job and they go up there and they're like, can you put me on? They may impact something and maybe we planted a seed. That guy's going to water it like crazy. And it's just one of those things. You never know. Maybe that's what our connection is. Maybe that's how God put us together. Maybe God put us together for a mission trip. Maybe God did a lot of things.
Yeah.
But all I know is that was one really cool conversation.
That was such a cool conversation. Maybe he'll come in and talk to the kids at Big Blue. Maybe he could be on the podcast. Maybe we'll see him at worship night. Wouldn't that be wild?
That would be wild.
I'm sure he's helping build Quarter Age. He's going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Or a time, as we say around here.
But it's so, there's so many possibilities. And the cool part is that we don't have a clue what God's doing.
Yeah.
That whole, many are all are called, but few are chosen. Like, we don't know what God's doing.
Right.
Sometimes God may call everybody and be like, I only need 20.
Yeah.
But I'm going to call them all. And in this situation, he may do whatever he wants to do with that guy.
Yeah.
But now I know who he is.
Yeah. That's so
Next
cool.
time I meet him, there is not going to be this awkwardness. It's going to be like, hey man, how's your orphanage? How's your mission trips? All this stuff. We can start without the how's the weather. You know,
Right.
it's out of
Yeah. Definitely. You could start with how's the sun.
there you go.
Get it? The sun. Well, I love this. I love this parable. I love that story. This has been a great Thankful Thursday for sure.
But don't forget that all are called. All are called to this banquet. All are called, and we don't get to choose. It's God's time to pick out who's going to be there or not.
Yeah.
So you got to go out and invite. That's what God calls us to do. When he calls the servants to go out and find other people because the ones who are called refused, he's talking about the ones who are in the kingdom. Servants have to be in the kingdom.
We are the servants.
So we're in the kingdom. If you're a servant, you're in the kingdom. You got to go out and find them. You got to go out and get them. That dragnet from last week, you got to pull them all in and let him sort them out.
Yeah.
Like, go get them.
Yes, absolutely. So, guys, we need to be telling or asking people in our lives, have you met Jesus?
Because they might have.
That's it.
They might have had a one-on-one that fixed them.
That's it. So,
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
all right. Bye.